How's it going, everyone? This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. All right. Let's get everything started and set up. So hopefully everyone's doing well. Kareem, what's up, man? Definitely first. You got it this time. Hands down. You're the only one in here right now. All right. When Moon, what's up, Berthium? What's up, Drake? All right. So we need to go to studio. Hey, look at that. Big milestone here, guys. You know what the milestone is? Just don't talk. Yeah, you didn't guess what the milestone is, though. I'm going to show you guys. Here we go. I don't mind. We'll just show you guys. Look at that. We hit 2,000 subs, right? And look at my estimated revenue. Went down. YouTube's going to pay me a whole $46 for streaming for you guys pretty much every market night. That's right. There we go. That's right. He got it. All right. Here we go. Let's go and everyone wants to talk about. So I know everyone's kind of been like, where have you been? I've been working a lot, but I was going to say I have been working on something in the evenings when I kind of like wind down, and I've been working with Kathy from the Discord. I just added a Cypher today, but we started going through. I was trying to see if we could find out a way of making this a little bit easier, because before I had manually been pulling all this information every day from FINRA. Oops, close. But she's a programmer from Ireland, and she was able to, I guess, use JavaScript to pull some of this information daily. And so what we were taking a look at was she's been able to go to FINRA, pull the data that gets pulled out of that text every single night and make it sure it gets uploaded when she runs a script, and also pull the Yahoo historical data, which apparently took a little bit of time because she had to like figure out how they write their stuff. But I just want to point this out. So this is the day that we hit 100% utilization. If I'm going over, making sure I'm doing the right one, I think it should be, is it this one? I'm eyeing it, but is that right? Yeah, okay. So remember we had that run up here, and I was talking about the volume being kind of insane and blah, 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 right? Okay. So, and this is including today's volume. But Aterian has traded 1.4 billion shares on a stock that has been 100% utilization except for like 2 days. And I don't know why those dips were. But let me go ahead and just pull this up so you guys can see it on Ortex. And this is where I think there's something going on, and I'm trying to kind of piece together a DD that ties together a bunch of stuff. But what's up, guys? What's up, Luther? What's up, D? Goat? All right, let me pull up Aterian real quick so you guys can see something. All right, so we'll pull up the short data, and what I wanted to show you was this. So you've got utilization, right? And we had these like weird dips for here for like 2 days, basically, that went 91 and 97, but then went right back up to 100. I don't exactly know what's up with that. Same thing happened here. There was like 2 days where it like dipped for some reason, and it had no specific reason that I saw across here. My guess would be it's probably because this 100% is not exactly 100%. I think we confirmed that when we were looking at the Bloomberg data. It usually was like 99 or whatever, but it's high enough where Vortex just assumes it's basically 100%, right? But if you go back and just say, okay, March 2nd, right, we hit 100%. And it hadn't been that high since back here when we ran up to like 20, right? So if we even included March 2nd in this. So if I go and pull up this here, sorry, and we add in an extra couple of days for March 2nd, which would be right here. So you're looking at like 1.44 billion shares traded while Aterian's been 100%, minus 4 days. It's a weird statistic, right? Right. So this stock only has 100. Back then it was like 153 million. Then during this time it did have some dilution, so it's now up to 168 shares outstanding. But like, that's a lot of volume for a stock that essentially has been quote unquote hard to borrow. It's a lot of volume. Like, on a small cap, like, I mean, I'm just talking about like we were trading in like 1 million a day for a while, and then the stock has traded since then 1.9 or what was it, 1.44 billion, right? 1.44 billion shares. That's crazy. So like, I don't think this is normal, right? Like, there's no catalyst in any of this. Right, we just went from like 3 million shares traded to 144, and then look at this volume, right? This is when the stock ran to 7, and then it came back down, and now it's doing its normal thing of trading basically like 1 to 2 million shares a day. And they're just keeping it pinned right now. But I wanted to see what other stocks were like this, and I know that GME went to 100% utilization on February 8th, right? So if you look at GME, they went to 100% utilization on February 8th. Now, Kathy nicely wrote me a script that pulled this. So if we do the same thing and we go from yesterday's date, because I don't think yesterday's date until February 8th, right? February 8th. So GameStop has traded 450 million shares while being at 100% utilization. Now GameStop has, I think, lower liquidity. They have the float's similar sized, but what's ended up happening is because apes have DRS their shares. Besides these couple, 24 million days, like, it's pretty much all trading like 1 million, 2 million, just like kind of Aterian has been. You have a couple runs, right? But for the most part, it's just been this low liquidity trading, and that's kind of where it's been. I think they announced the stock split somewhere around here. Then you got some increased volume on the stock. But once again, 450 million traded in volume on a stock that has been quote unquote 100% utilization. AMC has been even more like, just because I did this with AMC as well. Here it is. So check this out, right? You've got utilization, same thing, February 8th, right? February 8th hits 100% utilization. Now look at this. AMC's volume during that time span And obviously they have more shares than either GameStop or Aterian. But I just want to point this out that should be here. They've traded 5.2 billion shares while 100% utilization. And if you look, some of these days 67% shorting, like 60s, and this, if you look across the board for some of these, GameStop recently has just been over 50% every single day. Like, it's pretty much, exception on Wednesday of last week. But like, they've had to basically short for the last 2-3 weeks since they got the news about the stock split. Because back here, there was a couple days, there was in the 30s, the market was tanking, so they probably didn't need to short that much during that time. And then this was some of the big, large moves, so they probably just were like covering during some of these portions. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, you guys have any thoughts? Go ahead, chime in. Like 5.2 billion for AMC, 450 million for GME, all in, while 100% utilization, and then Aterian 1.4 billion on a stock that really, like, the float's not that big, so it's strange. There's a couple others that I'm adding to this list, and we'll kind of tally those up and keep track of that. But like, there's a couple of these. What was the other ones that I think I remember seeing? Was it Rev? And these are all like retail stocks that people got either trapped in or like, utilization's been since May, 100% locked in. There was another one. Was it Vroom maybe? Was it Vroom maybe that had also a long period of utilization being 100%? Nah, I mean, they've been up there since May, but not really. What one was it? It was a recent one. I mean, Redbox, I think, had it for a while. I think it's obviously probably came down now because I think they're shaking people out. Yeah, but I mean, look at this thing. Like, this thing basically would go through phases where they cover, and that's why it would drop, but then they short it right back down. That's a long time to be, like, really high up. This should have ran, and then basically retail got cheated when they shut off the options chains. And I think it's no longer on the reg show anymore. Because I think people basically were just like, all right, well, we got screwed. I mean, look at those FTDs. Yeah, I think it just came off reg show. It must have. Or at least it's not listing it right now. Maybe it's still on it, but yeah, it's a shame. All right. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't tweet. I should probably do that, I guess. I forgot to do that earlier. Okay, so quickly tweet real quick. Get something that like does it all for me. So I don't have to keep doing this. Alright, hold on. Some of this stuff didn't show up. That's fine. We'll do some deleting and we'll be okay. So how's everyone's day? How did everyone do in the market today? I'm not quite sure what to think. Like, I was looking at Netflix, and obviously they they still lost like 1 million subscribers, but everyone's like treating it like it's this huge beat. And I'm like, if we go into a recession, where do you think that people are going to cut their spending? Like, some people will keep Netflix because it's their only sense of entertainment, but like for a lot of families out there, that's going to be like one of the first things that goes, is like the kind of like, can you live without Netflix? Yeah, like most of us can. So I don't know. I mean, for me, that seems like, but that's because I bought a put because I saw there was a bunch of smart money look like buying puts on it. So I was like, okay, so because there was like floor trades actually like coming through. And all right, so we will go ahead and say stream talking about stocks. Come join. Is it just me, or I'm not seeing anyone writing anything? Have you guys been writing? Maybe I have to watch YouTube instead of the OBS because I'm not seeing anything. Get the.
Everyone loves spreadsheets. Actually, they don't. But check this out. Calendar.com, get started, import from spreadsheet, and holy shit! And no, this is not just a spreadsheet replacement. It's an easy way to build any solution you need for work. I said easy, no offense. And just in case you needed more reasons to ditch spreadsheets, you can build solutions such as these, and then collaborate with your team in the context of your work. You can save time with powerful automations and connect with any other work tool you use. So, Monday.com isn't a new type of spreadsheet, it's a new way to work. Without limits. Monday.com WorkOS. See what I'm talking about and make the switch today.
Get out of it. You just closed the dockable window.
Don't buy Dogecoin and Shiba Inu in 2022. You'd be missing out on the biggest opportunities in the market. Opportunities that you can learn about here.
Restart.
This is my crypto calendar. I designed it to help people isolate the biggest crypto opportunities long before the mainstream media starts talking about them. We're talking opportunities like Dogecoin that have the potential to skyrocket in value and reward folks who get in early. And today, I'm going to show you how to get your hands on this calendar. My name is Charlie Shrem. If you're familiar with crypto at all, you know me as one of Bitcoin's earliest investors.
Okay, well, I'm gonna
In fact, I was telling people about the cryptocurrency when it was trading for under $5, long before it soared more than 900,000%. Today, my work has been featured on long before it soared more than 900,000%. Today, my work has been featured on long before it soared more than 900,000%. Today, my work has been featured on
Hold on. Oh, you know what? How's that now? We good? Did it shut off? Okay. Yeah, sorry. Apparently, I must have left it on from, I guess, when we did the live stream with Alec and all them. And you lost 2 viewers. That was bonkers. Sorry, guys. I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I was getting silly boomer. There's a video playing in the background. Sorry about that. Foreground. I want 9. Yeah. I mean, I think, isn't Rev right now technically being, the cost to borrow is something like crazy? Let me see if I can get this to Rev. Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, Rev's cost to borrow is like 500%. Yeah, it's like 500, and it went up to like I don't know, 700% at one point. Are the hedgies attacking? Is it off now, or are we good? Okay. I think we're live now. Yeah, okay, so we're good there. I've got to go back now and kind of catch up to you guys. All right, so sorry about that. I get your sorry. I'm reading all your comments now. Sorry about that. Getting people. Does he know he's live? Clip this gold, please. It got louder. Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Basically, I think what I did was I left the OBS on from when we did the stream with Alec and Adam, and I guess maybe yesterday when I did it, I didn't notice it because I didn't have my I didn't really go to anything that had music on it, but I think it picks up anything that plays. So when I wasn't getting the chats inside of OBS, I went to YouTube, and when I did that, it went and opened an ad, I guess, for the stream. So, Boomer Anon, perfectly timed, 10 out of 10. Please keep your stream up on your channel. Okay, so you got some BBBY. Yep, I've got some too. I also have some. I've got a whole bunch of stuff. What's up, Anon? Evening. What's up, Jason? What's up, Random? This ad's for you, Google services. Gotta hate them. I'm not a boomer. I am on the I'm on the bridge of two generations. Okay, so you guys want to talk about Uvxy. I think Uvxy right now is being manipulated down. At this point right now, I think they're doing that because, all right, so I don't know if you guys know this, but they manipulate the VIX a couple different ways, because the VIX basically just measures essentially how many puts are on, right? So, like, it's basically what they call the fear index. It's how many people are betting the market's going to go down, right? But there are ways of actually manipulating the VIX, because what happens with the VIX is when the VIX goes up, it also affects options. So what a lot of these institutions figured out was if they can get the VIX to go down, what they can do is they can get options cheaper. And so what they do is they load up and push the VIX down, get options cheaper, and then they're able to go ahead and let their finger off when they feel like it, and then things fly because the IV spikes on the options. So I think right now Uvxy was, it's on volatility. Yes, no, it's measuring volatility based off of like how many actually, like, let me pull this up for you guys real fast. Uvxy doesn't even follow the VIX directly. It follows the M1 and M2 futures. So where is, I actually had this mapped out. There was a good thing to, I think it was called VIX Central. So if you guys want to learn how this all works, I can show you. Okay. So this is how Uvxy works. Oops. There we go. All right. This is your M1. This is your M2. So what they're doing right now is they're actually measuring out. Sorry, there's ads on this. Hopefully there's no. All right. Here we go. So this is your month one. This is your month two. Notice how basically as we get further in, you're going to basically move to this one to this one. So like this is where like Uvxy right now will be looking at this and this, but then to next month it will actually be looking at this and this. And then once this month is done, it's looking at this and this. So if you want to look historically, right? So if we wanted to look at how the VIX moves, right? So let's say we want to do it, though, in the more recent, right? So let's look at VIX futures from... When did COVID happen? Was that 2020 or was that 2021? Or do you guys remember? I don't even remember anymore. It's all blur. Let's go back and see. All right, so as you see, this is what happens when you have a steep, like, oops. This must have been around COVID, right? COVID happened in, what was it, like February? You see how it's coming down, but it had spiked up greatly. So if we get back into, so I guess this is where COVID started, like, getting talked about, right? So you started seeing this, like, futures in late January. There must have been rumors of things going on, right? So as this is going on, each month that goes, or each day that goes by, you can see that the futures on this are changing, and they're spiking in certain ways. And then where does, yeah, so right here, it had spiked all the way up to 66. And that's a huge amount. From, then we got to 70 there. But these are the futures. So when you get these M1, M2 futures, that's what they're looking at. So the UVXY is measuring this, basically. It's not measuring the VIX directly. March 2020. Yeah. So, I mean, that's when the huge spike in the, you know. But you can see, like, when they sense something's going on, they start spiking, and then once they kind of go, you'll see this massive, you know, elevation in the VIX. Right there was, like, probably the peak. That's when probably the world shut down. And so they were like, I don't know how long this is going to last. But, like, at that point, if you actually look at the chart on the VIX, or on the UVXY, let's pull up a chart real quick. So if I do UVXY, and we go back to, where are we on the daily? Okay. This part right here. Let's see what date that was. March 18th, right? March 16th, 17th, 18th. So this was its highest point. But it was measuring these two together, and that's where they came up with that huge, you know, price spike, where it just basically ran straight up and went parabolic, hitting, what was that, 1,300? So it went down from, like, I think 130 to, like, 1,300. It's like 1,000% increase or some crap like that. It was insane. But that's what happens when the world's shutting down. So that's what you'll see for the VIX futures. They always measure the M1 and M2 for UVXY. Not all of them do that, but UVXY, that's how it operates. So if you want to go to the recent year and say July, we'll just go through July, right? Get prices. Here we go. So what you're seeing is there's a spike in it, but then what ends up happening as it starts going through, right? They're still elevated, but they're not spiking to those crazy levels. You will only make money on the UVXY if it's constantly thinking that things are going on in the future. And you know, if you look out, it right now is elevated. So, but it's not elevated like it was back in 2020. So until there's some sort of catalyst that sends all these VIX futures, like, you know, scrambling higher, like, you know, we're in a recession, a depression, whatever, then, or some sort of major event happens, like a World War III breakout or something like that, then you'll see the VIX futures spike hugely, and then all these things will get dragged up. So that's how UVXY works. Are you guys good with that? You got it? just so you guys see this also. The VIX is a financial benchmark designed to be up to the minute estimate of the volatility of the S&P index, right? It's calculated by using the midpoint of the S&P index bid and ask quotes. It's an equation, basically. But they basically are able, here's like any math, right? If you know how it works, you can manipulate it. And that's what's happened. If you look at VIX manipulation, you'll see many, many articles about how the VIX is manipulated. And a bunch of academics have quoted being like, this is not a great tool, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. It's one of those, 18 happened. They also did it back in a couple other ways. And so, not great. Yeah, so if Tesla tanks, then UVXY will probably go up because Tesla is a part of the S&P 500. Because as people get super bearish on the S&P, the VIX will start increasing. But yeah, like October is going to be possibly here's the thing. Whenever you look at open interest and all that stuff on all these stocks, you have to assume that they're there for a reason. But most of the time, it's not because they think the crash is going to happen. They're giving themselves some theta to be wrong. I just want to throw that out there. So if we look at an option chain, for example, like if I pull up an option chain, let me log in real quick. All right, so if there's a ton of open interest on UVXY for, say, I don't know, October or something like that. Let me see if... All right, UVXY. So right now, there's a ton of open interest on UVXY. Like, people are playing volatility for this week. So the question is, where's Max Payne? Like, let me just look at some of the future quotes and just show you. So there's a lot of money that was betting on UVXY spiking this week. And I'll show you when I copy it. Let's see. All right, here we go. And for anyone that is having trouble viewing any of this stuff, if you change your resolution, you should be able to see a little bit better. Like, I think if you hit the gear icon, you can go and change the quality. And I think I'm able to get up to like 1080p. So you may be able to see it better there. Okay, so this is this week's. And if you look at the open interest on this and this, there's a ton of open interest, right? So where would it be most advantageous to place if we're doing Max Payne for UVXY? XY Max Payne. All right, we'll use a couple of different ones because I know there's a couple of these things. All right, so they've got it at 1452. 1452 right here would be Max Payne. There's a lot more calls on UVXY, so I don't think that's correct. That's what what's it called? Stock Ninja IO. They're saying, sorry, it's 13. The futures. Okay, so max pain's 13, according to them, and I've got it at UVXY. Oh, so close. Okay. That's so weird. This the maxpain.com max/pain, but when you're trying to type in something, it comes up backwards. So let's see. Okay, here we go. They have it at 13 as well. So right now they have. Oh, look at that. Where are we at right now? We're pinned right there at $12.50 and $13. So they have the VIX right now pinned probably because they want to burn as many of these as they can because that's a good amount of open interest on both sides. So if you were smart money, you would probably be pinning certain things at certain levels. Like, what do we think the max pain for the SPY is? All right, so today was an OPEX, right, for the SPY? Was today an OPEX? No, tomorrow is. Okay. So where do you guys think that the SPY's max pain is? All right, let's take a look. Look at all that. There's 20K open interest at 375 for puts. 14K at 370. There was just puts all the way down. And they just pushed it up above 392 because 143K in volume. Wow. Okay, so let me screenshot this so you guys can see. All right, here we go. All right, so here's the SPY. If I can get it to load. I'll have to zoom in a bit. But look at all this open interest that just got burned. And there was a ton of volume on all this. Like, look at all that volume. So somebody's fighting over the SPY right now. But yeah, like, if you look, they just pushed up, right? This is trading right now like a penny stock. The SPY is trading like a penny stock. But look where we landed. Just burning. And look at the amount that's being spent here. And honestly, if they push it slightly higher, they're going to burn so many puts, and then there's nobody like stacking this stuff over here. Like, all this stuff is just getting like torched. This entire options chain for the puts is getting torched. I mean, 11K, down at 360. You've got all this here, 10K. I mean, this is a good amount of money. Like, I don't know if you guys want to look, but the amount of money that's tied up on this options chain is insane. Let's see. Yeah, I think this is the one that shows it. Look. Look how much money's tied up down here. Nuts. So if you can't tell, right? Here you've got cash, your strikes, but look how much cash. Like, when you start getting up here, that's a billion almost. That's a ton of money. You can see over here too, like on the call side as they get up there. Crazy. All right, so, but yeah, that's Uvxy and then the SPY. Carl says the SPY has to fall. I think we all agree. How long can they continue this? I mean, as long as they can make money, they're going to do this indefinitely because they can. Like, they've been crushing the VIX, right, for a long time. We had a couple of spikes, but for the most part, the VIX has been just basically chopping down. They've had it now in this descending wedge, but it's going to pop at some point because I think there's just too much bad news, and some people are like, oh, this is the bottom, right? So if we go to the SPY and people are like, oh, this is the bottom, I think there's more downside. Like, we have not quite broken the downtrend, and I know people are like, if we keep going, if we get above this area and get into this area, we'll break the downtrend. I'm like, all right, yeah, that's fine, but like, it's got to pop up and over and then retest it and then go up from there. So I'll believe it once it starts running into the 4.15s and then touching the 420s. Then I'll be like, yeah, this is a breakout, and but I think with the Fed tightening, with inflation running hot, like, I don't see how this is going to end and be like, yeah, everything's fine, this was the bottom. Like, and they haven't filled those gaps that I pointed out before. I pointed out these gaps down here. We're pretty close to it. But, like, typically when these things go, it will go hard. And you'll see, like, a couple really bad days that will really just tank this thing down. And then, we'll see in this 340s level when they fill those gaps where we are. But that's just my opinion. None of this is financial advice, but just a guy talking about stocks on the internet. That's what I see. I see us filling these gaps down in the 340s, and I just think there's too many things going on in the world right now that are not positive. The yield curve is inverted, and usually that signals a recession. I don't know if you guys know much about this, but anytime the yield curve is inverted, it usually is followed up with a recession. Now, sure, there's been a couple of like false indicators, but like for the most part, that seems to have been a pretty yeah, that happened. Let's see. Yield curve. All right, so if I pull up the 2-year, I need to close some of this stuff down. Hold on. I don't want to do 4x. Minimize. All right, here we go. So this is the 2-year, and I think I have the S&P up, and let me pull up the 10-year. So add the 10. Here. Bonds. I guess we pull the 20s up if we want. Now, I'm not super great with trading view. It's not something I work with all the time, but I think if I go here, show you this, just to point this out. Keep going. Tell them to subscribe. Okay. So right here, this yield curve inversion monitor, it picked it up in March. And then since then, it's been just like, it's where it's inverted. So we've inverted all these single times. But if we can zoom in more, but like, you can see right here, we've been inverted now. These two crossed and then are now inverted. And whenever that happens, I mean, you can read articles on yield curve inversion. Yeah. These inversions have extremely strong, decade-long histories coming before recessions. And nobody knows why, but that's what it is. And now you have people like Bullard saying, oh, well, it may not be so ominous, but like, when you actually look at all the times the yield curve is inverted, it usually follows with a downturn in the market. So if you look back in history, yield curve inverts, the stock market plummets. Right. Where's the next time it inverts? I may have to go to monthly, maybe. You can't see back then in the 80s, but here's 2000. Yield curve inverts, right? If we zoom in for the 2000s, the yield curve inverts there. Stock market's still running, but it does have this one downturn. Recovers, right? Getting pumped. Yield curve inverts at this entire thing, and we have a downturn for the .com crash, right? The global housing market crisis, yield curve inverts, crash. COVID, inverts, crash. And now we're getting it here. And what's going on? So, I'm pointing it out. I'm not saying there's like a one for one, but like it's usually preceded by, I mean, you can read it for yourself, look it up. But a yield curve inversion usually happens when the short-term treasury bonds have higher yields than the long-dated ones, despite carrying lower risk. And then whenever it happens, usually in the decades-long history of it, us tracking it, it usually comes before recessions. So for me, I think the SPY still has more room to go down. That's just my opinion. So, okay. Is there a market maker for the SPY? There's market makers for everything, but yeah, like I would imagine it's probably one of the large institutions or... All right, let's see. Yeah, I mean, they could be filling... Did we leave gaps? From May? Let's see. Here's May. Did we gap down in one of these downturns right here? Let's see. That looks like it filled. Let's see it there. Where's the gap? The gap was in June. Okay. Yep, there's a gap there. June 13th. And we should have filled that by now. Yeah, we filled it right up here. Late June, it went all the way up to 393. That gap was in the 380s, so that would have filled already. So, yeah, that gap's filled since then. Just throwing it out there. It filled back in late June, and then early, I guess earlier this month as well. And now it's doing it again. So that gap's already filled. So I don't think it's doing it because of that. There's another gap above that. Where? I mean, I see this gap here. I see a gap here. Oh, you're right. In this one right here. Okay, so from 401 roughly to 396. So that's an area of liquidity that's probably going to be filled. So we could see them touch that maybe the next 2 or 3 days, run up, burn all the puts, and then probably tank. That's why for anyone that's trading options or like bearish options, you got to give yourself theta. Like, I think the lowest one I have for theta is like September, and like I feel uncomfortable with that, but it was like, but yeah, like most of my stuff is dated either for November or January of next year. So, but yeah, you're right. There is a gap right there above, which is like 401 to like 390s. So it's probably going to go and retouch those areas. Probably do it during earnings and then just find a reason to tank when everyone's getting bullish again, because that's what they like to do. They like to make money on everyone tricking everyone and rug pull. So, good call, Danny. There was a gap above it. So yeah, I could see us doing that in the next couple of days, refilling that gap and then just going from there. All right, let me zoom out. Yep, right here. You can see it. And there was another big one right here. So, should have known. Probably retest, and then, they can get it back up in this thing. Some people will be profitable, and they'll probably pull. There we go. All right. If you haven't hit the like button, if you can do that, that'd be cool, because that can give us some more views on YouTube, hopefully. I guess the algorithm likes it or something. I don't know. All right. Let's see. And how would you be able to view the yield curve on the SPY? So the yield curve is not measured on the SPY. It's measured in your bonds. So you look at the 2-year and the 10-year Treasury bonds, and that's what the yield curve actually is. It's not done through the SPY. I just had the SPY on there as a reference point so you guys could see every time it spiked and every time it inverted, basically the SPY would run down. Greg, you think Jamie is going to hit $1 million on Thursday? I don't right now, and that's not me being like a shill or anything like that. I'm a big fan of GameStop. I've been in it for a long, long time. I bought my first shares I think it was in the high teens, I think. I think I bought it at like 18 or 19 a share. But I just think at this point right now, GameStop is such a problem for them, for the entire system. Like, it's like, I don't know if you guys read that thing on Super Snock, and you guys, I would say take it with a grain of salt. I've talked to industry professionals before and asked their opinion. This is just like, off the record, like they're not giving me anything that, but just their honest opinions, and they sound like that. Like the guy that wrote that Trust Me Bro thing. Did you guys read that? Where's the Trust Me Bro? Did it get pulled? No, here it is. here we go. I mean, there are some pretty funny responses to it as well. But for anyone that hasn't read that, basically, he says he's like a cab driver. He drives on the weekends to make some extra money so he can buy more shares, and then like people are mocking him. There's a lot of that. Trust me, bro. I think it's. Yeah, so this one right here. All right. So, major trust me bro story. Senior advisor confirms DD, says it's not a conspiracy. It's 100% true. So, I've talked to people, and there's certain aspects of this I think are correct, which is, number one, most of these guys will never say anything, but supposedly this guy was drunk and he was letting his guard down. I don't know, but I have heard these certain things from these industry professionals, which is the smart money usually wins, which, I mean, they literally cheated. Like, and this was the same thing. Like, I don't know where the section is, but basically it was retail was kicking the big guys' butts, and that's why they had to shut down trading. That actually, I believe. Spooner. Sorry, let me just read. Okay, just to wrap it. If you go to TradeView, you can pull up the 2 and 10 year, and you can have a free account and do that still. So if you go to TradingView, you can register for a free account, and you can pull up the 2 and 10 year. And the tool, I think I pulled it up. There was some sort of like, I don't know what they're called, like script, or somebody wrote their own like program for it. So maybe you guys can help me if I'm having a brain fart here. But a script was written for it, and it basically highlighted and circled the thing, and I think it was called like the yield curve inversion tool or something like that. But okay, back to GameStop. So I have heard from those people that they believe that smart money has probably done a lot of like shady things, and they're never going to let retail win. To me, that's just they're so used to. There's never been a case of this before where retail has literally taken on Wall Street, and they took on Wall Street, and we basically won. Back in we had gotten the stock to go from $20 a share to, I think I saw 500 or 600 pre-market that morning before they shut off the buy button. And of course, they got control of it, and they basically were allowed to reposition their shorts at the top of that range and then short all the way down. And so they're profitable, which means that because they're so profitable on those trades, it's going to be hard to get them to actually margin. But at the same time, it's been now a full year since that. And we are now looking at like a huge amount of knowledge that's been passed on. And I think GameStop apes are smart because I do think that DRS has changed things, and I think it's putting the pressure on because every single time they do these crazy shorting attacks, like we saw the other day, right? We had ran up, and then they basically dropped it $12 on like half the shares. Like I think it was like 2 million shares to raise it up $10, and it took like 600,000 or 600,000 shares to drop it like $12 in 5 minutes. Like that's the sort of stuff like that shouldn't be happening, but technically it's legal because if they had those shares long and they just unloaded them as fast as they could, just what's called bid whacking, you can shuffle off with a combination of shorting. But basically they were probably colluding with other like hedge funds that are short also. Like there's a huge amount of like, here, let me let me just show you something, because I think this explains the story better. They do not want retail to win, because if retail wins, retail changes the game on the stock market forever. And they're kicking and screaming and trying to basically come up with a million different new loopholes that will get them out of this, because I think they made their bed and now they're having to lay in it and they don't like it. So now they're actually having to, have some pressure put against them. And GameStop could potentially screw up the entire market for everybody, for all the rich that are in this market, because forever they were able to just bully their way and, push people out. Like if you push the stock down, look at Aterian. If you push the stock down long enough, people will get out because either they don't know or whatever reason. But like, if people buy and hold over a long period of time, like Tesla got pushed down real hard and, probably had some naked shares that were out there. And that's why Elon hates the SEC, because they allowed that to happen to his company, right? So let me pull up the statistic for you, because I think it's on Fintel and I've got access to that so I can show you guys. Alright, so Fintel, let me get on here. Let me pull up GME. And we'll pull up the short interest. I mean, they've literally made this like this retail versus Wall Street. Like, we have always known that there was a tilted table. GameStop has exposed how tilted that table is. All right, so if we go to short interest, all right, and you go all the way down here to the bottom, you can see these are funds disclosing short positions, right? And if you look here at the bottom, it tells you that there are 55 Wall Street firms shorting GameStop right now. Whether it's puts or shorts or whatever they want to do, they are net negative on GameStop. And we're talking about some of the biggest names out there. You're talking about, look at this. If you just go down the line, Belvedere, Capstone, Citadel, Cutler, Goldman, IMC, Jane Street, Marathon, Millennium. Like, these are all like hedge funds, and they're all, like, even T Rowe's got puts. Now that might be a position, but like that they've hedged long. But like Susquehanna's got a huge amount. Like, this is a lot of really, really, really powerful hedge funds, and they're all short GameStop. Like, and they're going to do everything in their power to basically, keep this down. Whether it's, and you have to imagine, like, do you remember how bad those waterfalls were? And some of you guys weren't around for it, like, but on GameStop. But like, if we went back on the like 1 minute history of GameStop when it was crashing from the like the highs, I mean, literally they had sold, Robinhood and other brokerages had sold all the stop loss information to the hedge funds. So everyone knew where all the, so they were like, okay, if the stock right now is trading at 280 and we know a bunch of people have stop losses at 220, they literally coordinated together to basically get the stock down to those levels to cause even more selling. I mean, we were looking at times where it was like 3 RSI. Like, it was just completely oversold. And, they were trying to basically trick everyone and say that, hey, you this thing ran up high and now you guys should have made your money, and now, but like, it's all over now. But it wasn't, and still isn't. So no, I mean, so the short thesis on GameStop is it's a dying retailer, like brick and mortar, that is going to get crushed by digital sales. And that's not like a horrible thesis, being that, at one point that was very true. And here's that, fateful day. But I mean, pre-market, it was like a 500, 600s. But this was a stock that really, was trading like at one point, I think $3 a share. I mean, down here, 286, and then ran up to 600 a share. Like retail was winning, and they popped the ball and said you can't play anymore because rich people were losing money. Because rich people were invested in these hedge funds, and those hedge funds were the ones short. And so they were having to liquefy like their assets, which was costing, investors money for these hedge funds. So like it's not a great system. Like this whole thing's rigged, but like retail really needs to kind of just figure it out as far as like, there's corruption out there, and what can you do? Everyone just throws up their hands, goes, well, what are you going to do? Well, I mean, like, who do you think pays for all their campaigns that allows them to basically break the rules? Like, why has the SEC got no teeth? It's because they don't want them to have teeth. They got teeth, and they might actually have to do their jobs. But who elects them? Government. So, yeah, I mean, do I think it's going to 1 million on Thursday? No. But do I think GameStop can go up in value? Yes, and I think they will. And I think what will happen is you'll see more buying from retail once the price is lower, because it's been shown. The reason why people went with AMC rather than GameStop was because the price was too high. Well, now if you can buy GameStop for $30 a share, people might start adding GameStop too. Some people can't afford $150 a share, to buy, 10 shares each week or bi-weekly or whatever you get paid. Monthly in some cases, right? So some people can't swing that, but for them, they could buy, 5 shares at 30 and do that every week. So my unborn child has more teeth than the SEC. The cutoff was Friday. Was it? Let's see. When was the last day? Let's see. Was the last day to buy GME before split? I mean, Motley Fool's already shilling. GameStop surges on stock split and NFT hype. Don't be fooled. You guys remember who owns Motley Fool, right? Hedge funds. Yeah. They literally own the media that puts out news that investors read. Like, this whole system's just dirty and corrupt and needs fixing. All right. Let's see. Stock split happen. So the split will take place after market close on the 21st. It's a 4-for-1. Does it show what date is the... Yeah, I don't see a date specifically. It does say it's going to happen this Thursday. I don't know if there's a cutoff, though. It's supposed to happen on market close on the 21st. So on the 22nd, which is what, Friday, you would wake up and you would have those extra shares, hopefully, in your account. Do you guys see anything different? Yeah, GameStop, once the split happens, will be in the 30s. A really cheap up-and-coming company. Okay, let's take a look. You go and take a look real quick. So I always do a couple things when I look at a new stock, and I just, happy to show you guys kind of my process. So let's look at Evo. What is it? What's the ticker? EVO. It's Evfm. Okay. Yeah. So just throwing this out there. Maybe you know this or you don't know this, but this is a small cap. I mean, the market cap on it's 42 million. The float on it's 47 million. High short interest. It's nobody owns it for institutions. It's only owned by 2.6% institutions. But if you look here, you've got 77 million warrants, 9.83 convertible notes, and 0.7 million. So if you look at all this dilution that's there, you've got 71 million warrants at 75 cents. Yeah, that's a huge amount of dilution. You've also got these convertible notes. You've got even more here. You also have the ATM's been terminated. They do have an equity line of credit, but they've got a shelf right now. Yeah, that's a lot of dilution. I mean, you're looking at a float that's all of a sudden going to go to 138 million shares. Yeah. So just throwing it out there, Danny Pop, that's a huge amount. And if you look at their cash position, they've got about a month and a half left of cash before they need to basically raise cash. They're right now burning about 21 million a quarter, and they have 11 million left. So you're looking at they need to immediately raise cash. The stock might move up to try to hit some warrant prices. I haven't even looked at the chart, but I'm just throwing that out there for you. That's a lot of dilution. So unless you've got some information that, is going to change my mind, that's not the greatest start to... Yeah, see right here, it got down all the way to 27 cents, something like that. And now it popped up and it's consolidating, right? But you've got warrants at 75 cents. So at any point right now, they can literally, and they might already be starting it, they might be dragging this down by pushing out the warrants. Your MACD is already crossing down right now. You can already see the ADL is dropping, as so is the money flow and the OBV. Your CCI is crossed over, and you're now starting to head down on your awesome oscillator and your TTM squeeze. So, I mean, be careful with this one, is what I'd say. But yeah, not financial advice, just what I'm seeing. My entire goal is to try to help retail, just kind of learn how all this stuff works. And can you look at sure, give me a second. Yeah. Okay, so dilution may not matter for this one. Institutions own about 80% of it. That's a little better. Software company, let's see, businesses are built by experiences they provide, blah, 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 shaping the future. What do you guys do? You're a cloud communications multi-cloud ecosystem, blah, 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 blah. So they're clouds. Okay, so clouds. Yeah, all of these are similar. A nice spike up and then... All right, so Vanguard owns them. BlackRock. Okay. They have been lowering some of their position, though. That's fine. River sold a couple million. $85 million common shares. Okay. Are there warrants? All right, so they've got 5.6 million warrants at 25. Okay. All right. How are they on their balance sheet? Let's take a look. Okay, unaudited, blah, blah, blah. Let's see. It's probably not the best way to look at it. Let me just go to the top, because usually it's towards the top. All right, financials. Okay, so revenue, it's in the millions. So we do have, let's see. Revenue from products went down 3 million, went down. So slight decrease across 6 months. Costs have increased. That's fine. The costs have slightly increased. Right. Gross profits came down. So operating expenses have slightly gone down. Net loss. All right, so let's take a look at this is your balance sheet right here. You see, it's a consolidated balance sheet. Okay, so cash has gone down. So current assets are a good thing to look at. Then you've got your total assets, right, which is here, but some of the stuff's fluff. So property's fine. I would have thought it's plant and equipment too, so there's probably depreciation on some of the equipment. But overall, that's fine. How much liabilities do they have? So you're slightly positive for shareholder equity. What's the stock trading at right now? All right, so here's your warrants right there. So they've got warrants as well. Warrants are cheap on that. That might be even worth looking at. If you're long on these guys, if you like them, the warrants are dirt cheap. But that's also because, obviously, they've been like a falling knife. At some point, they probably will have their spring, and that may have already happened. It may have been here. But basically, they're pushing them down because they can, because they basically are like neutral as far as like their assets and liabilities are basically neutral, which means that they probably have like a slight. So yeah, they're probably worth on book like about where they are now. But could they go up in the future? Yeah, of course they can. If you look, the indicators are pretty bullish. This move didn't come on a huge amount of volume for today. Yesterday was slightly more. But if they send it, really sky high, this was a 10% day on low volume. What was this one? That was a pretty good day right there. So it seems like every time it bounces into this range, might be the lower low. So this actually could have some momentum. You still haven't crossed over on the TTM squeeze are awesome, so there's some room to run on this thing. But the CCI did cross over here, and you look like your indicators are starting to spike up. Now, if I look at this zoomed out a little bit, the money flow has been going out. You can see the money flow has been going out. And I think I've talked to you guys about this before. Like, you compare it to a couple different things, like, let's pull up. Just out as far as I can. But yeah, like look at the difference between these two. You had the money flow go up, and then it went up here, and all these have been pinned up here on Aterian. Same thing for GameStop. If we go back and take a look, that's on the 1 hour. I need to change it to the daily. But if I zoom out a bit, you can see the money flow went up, right? And it's stayed there. The OBV is going up again, and so is the volume on it. But meanwhile, this purple line has been going down, and that's your ADL. So but yeah, you can see across the time when it spiked up, and then it's just been pinned up here. The OBV and the this one run right here, it did slip down slightly. But look at AMC. I think it's the same story. But Aterian especially is this weird, like, you had this constant, and then it went up here, and it's been pinned. AMC, look at this. You had that big spike, and then since then, they've been all up here. You've had some fluctuations in it, but for the most part, they've been pretty much pinned to the top, like in the 80s and 90s. And then these are down here. Now, if you look at this one, you can see where the money flowed in, and then money started actually flowing out a bit. But at the same time, it didn't go all the way back down to where it was pre. Like, now you've got people trapped, basically, it looks like. Right, so people bought in back during this run, and they're still holding it. It may not be in a huge amount, but like that's why you're seeing these like random spikes on here. Like that was oversold. People started buying the stock again because it was just so low, and now you're getting the secondary one. But if you look at Wyckoff, this could be the spring, and then you could see a movement up into this like 4-5 range. And they've done this with a lot of these like stocks, but long term, like they seem like they're okay. I think they're cash flow positive, if I remember correctly. If I saw that, I don't know if they are or not, but all right. So 22 days ago, they announced $600 million in financing. So upsize from previous announced due to robust demand. They're going to have June 2023 maturities. Okay, so they've raised it through, and this was announced back in late June. But they'll have a ton of cash with this. It will dilute some, but at the same time, they're looking like they're growing. Dilution's not terrible if they do something smart with the money. Like, if you dilute just to, like, keep your lights on, that's not a great thing. But if you're diluting because you're actually trying to get, you know, like, you use that money to invest and, you know, get through at least, like, in Aterian's case, they need to get through this tough time so they can get those shipping rates back down. They also need to figure out what's going to make them money. In this case, with these guys, if they make, you know, some good investments with this $500 million, that can be a really good thing for them. You know, if they can actually use this money and turn it into more money by, you know, improving their service and then getting more people to sign on with them, with hiring salespeople, all that kind of stuff. That's all stuff that could be a good thing. So you never know. But TA-wise, it's starting to look like it's improving on this. And if you look at Wyckoff, how it works, this could be coming up. That could be the spring, because you made the lowest low, and then you're going to come up here. Because I don't think there was another time where it was that low pre the run-up. Right? These were back in 7s. Yeah, and it IPO'd probably like at 10. Or it may have been a SPAC, I don't know. But either way, it looks to me like if you were going to go long on somebody, this might not be a horrible one to go long on. I mean, some people might play it just for like a short squeeze angle, because they do have, I think, like 15% short interest. But like, to me, I would say, who's loading up on this? We saw that the biggest holders on this were like Vanguard, Victory Capital, Capital Word Investors, Contour Asset Management. So there's like some smart money buying this stock. It's almost 80% owned by institutions. So to me, this looks like a pretty good entry point. Anything down below 3. Let me just do something real quick. Let's see what the fair market value is, or at least what I think it is. Hopefully this works. I'm able to do this. Okay. Okay. So price per book is 0.48. Price per sale is 0.07. So they're not quite profitable yet, but that's fine. They're not like super, like, they got a quick ratio of 1.35 and a current ratio of 1.66. And if I look at this correctly, looks like maybe like, here, pull this up real quick so you guys can see this. Okay, here you go. So fair value is probably about like between 5 and 8. They sometimes get a little ham on these things, but in this case, you know, if you can get it down here in this range, this is like anything below basically 115 would be a steal, and then anything under this basically like 3 something is probably like a good entry point. So there you go. For suggesting tickers, look at Poet. Silicone Photonics. Yep, no problem, Tony. All right. What do you think will be released at the annual meeting for stockholders? I think basically we're just looking at the balance sheet. I don't think they're not releasing any new products. At least they haven't hinted that they were for Aterian. I'm assuming you're talking about Aterian. But I was going to say, I think for them, they're just going to basically kind of update people on what their plan is. Like, they may not come up with guidance, but, you know, for the last couple of quarters, it's just been like we're trying to basically keep our head above water. But I'd like for them to actually have some sort of plan going in. Like, okay, so shipping rates have been coming down. I think you can track that. I think somebody in the Discord has been. Shipping container costs, but it's always delayed on those things. Yeah, so September 2021, it cost over $20,000 to ship a container from China to the U.S. In June 2022, the price is half of that at $9,500. It's still much higher though than it was, it was I think like $3,000 a container before. But like, so to price from China to the United States will approximately cost you $8,500 now. But it used to be $3,000. So you can imagine their business model got screwed up when, you know, you went all of a sudden from $3,000 to $20,000 a container. Like, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, of course you're not going to have, you know. I just want to see them real quick. What happened? All right. I'll do Poet, and that'll be the last one I do tonight. But yeah, you should be able to buy a GameStop share, and I think it still will split on Thursday. I didn't see any cutoffs that I saw. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I didn't see anything that I saw that was like... Sorry. I have like a gnat or something flying around my face. I don't even know where this thing came from. I think my wife bought some fruit, but I think it's being attracted by the light of my computer screen. Don't mind me. Okay, let me close out some of these windows so I can get kind of back to where I was supposed to be. Okay. I got it. You son of a bitch. There you go. Sorry. But yeah, I think at this point right now, Aterian's main goal is just to be like keeping their head above water. I mean, that's really been their like message is like, we just need to get this, you know, back under control, because for the longest time they, you know, essentially, yeah, the shipping containers, when they were 20,000 a container, nothing they were going to do was going to make them profitable. Like, their business model was set up for those containers to cost between $3,000 and maybe $6,000 a container, you know, like or maybe even like 10,000. They in their wildest dreams probably never factored in the shipping cost could go from 3,000 a container to 20 to 30,000 a container at its peak. Because I think at some points they actually had gotten up to like 30,000 a container. So like, and you still have to like provide those things that you're, you know, you get the inventory shipped over. You still need to actually sell that stuff, and so like it's cutting into your margins. So, okay, but yeah, I'd like to see them provide something. At least give us just a small amount of like, hey, listen, this is what we're planning on doing. Maybe next year we'll launch, if we can raise some money, we'll launch some new products. We've been working with, asking customers what they're looking for, something like give us something, right? Oh, is some sort of hedge fund pushing this? The Evfm? That's kind of funny. I just completely like screwed up their play, and now they're trying to push it. Interesting. I mean, they'll probably move up on like, just because they're trying to push the stock up, because they have to get people to FOMO in to basically like fund their dilution. So, like, I just showed you a massive amount of dilution on Evfm. Not quite sure what you're looking at for that. So, I wonder if the Friday GME split will affect Ater. If GME runs and if GME pops, then I think anybody that's short across the board is going to have pressure put on them. That said, it depends on what funds are shorting Aterians. So if like some of the smaller ones, yeah, those could pop easily if they get margin called. Because if they're short, for example, if let's say you're like a smaller fund, short fund, right, and you have a short position against GameStop, you may end up having to close out positions across the board for all your short positions, even if you're profitable on them, to help pay for, getting margin called with GameStop. So, okay. Yeah, for whoever's in Evfm, if you want to go back and look at this video, I covered that and showed the amount of dilution. Just be careful, because that's the type of thing that can come back and bite you. And so, not financial advice, but just throwing it out there, they do have a good amount of dilution on the table. So, new investors bought in a 9% stake. Oh, is that what it is? The short squeeze Reddit loves Evfm. So, I mean, the short squeeze seems to be basically where hedge funds go to pump dilution, in my opinion. So when they want to, like Prague, they were literally, Prague and Nile, they both were basically an active ATM, and they got people to FOMO in to them, and then they diluted on top of them. So, I mean, I haven't read. The problem is I haven't been on Reddit, so I'm not able to like read this stuff and like dispel it, because I just haven't been on Reddit very often. Do you use Ater or Ater stock? I'm on both of them. I know they just got a new head mod at Ater, but I'm on both of them, and I was added as an approved user on Ater and on Ater stock as well. Yeah, and I know some people are not a fan of the new system because they raise karma requirements, but I can tell you, just like from the stuff I glance every once in a while when I look at my phone, there's a whole bunch of stuff that there's a lot of people that are spreading FUD, and they all were like new accounts basically who had no karma, and so they raised the karma requirements. But yeah, I'm too busy on my OnlyFans. You guys saw what kind of money I'm raking in on this. At least some of you saw at the beginning. I did clip out. What's funny, because I'm looking at my thing and it says I only have 1.99k subscribers. So someone must have unsubscribed since I made the announcement that I hit the 2k. Here, I'll show you guys who are still watching. Look at this money coming in. My estimated monthly revenue is $46 from YouTube. And it said I had 2,000 subscribers, but someone must have left after I announced it, because I'm back down to 199. So, yeah, I make that big money here on YouTube, you know. All the Evfm fans unsubscribed. Listen, I'm just trying to like tell people the truth. Like, you guys know me, or at least most of you guys know me. Anyone that doesn't, you're more than welcome. We have a free Discord. You can check it out. Should be a link in the description. But yeah, anyway. Almost a new pair of Asics. Oh my, you guys know I love my Asics. Total dad shoes. They're blue and like green and ugly and Trade Titan. What's up, Anon? What's up, man? We were just covering some stocks and going over some stuff. Covered crazy facts that $40 a stream is really good. Oh, no. That's $40 for the entire month. I don't get $40 a stream. I get $40 for the entire month. That's a monthly. Yeah. What am I going to do? Yeah, so let's break this down. 46, what was the number? I had it up for a second. Here it is. So you guys can see how much money I'm going to make. $46.57. $46.57. And how often do I stream? Like 4 nights a week? Right? So 4 nights a week, and I'm usually with you guys for at least like 3 hours. Right? Is that about right? So if we do 4, sometimes 5 a week, but let's just call it like 4.5 days a week times, I'm usually with you guys for between 3 hours roughly. So we got about 13, right? So we'll take the, what was it? The 46.57 divided by 13.5. So I'm making about $3.44 an hour doing this for you guys. So what am I going to do if we squeeze? Yeah. Honestly, probably take a vacation. I might I'd love to do this full time, but it just, just do this throughout the day and just kind of, learn, research, show you guys what I'm seeing, stuff like that. But, at this point, I none of this pays the bills. So, my math's wrong. Is it? Okay, do my math right, please. Do I need to do 13 divided by 46? Oh, it's less than $1 an hour. You're welcome. Oh, yeah, because I didn't do times 4. Yeah, so it's less than $1 an hour. 46 divided by 48, yeah. But it's my passion. And I make $1 an hour for you guys, so. All right. All right, we're doing one last one, right? You guys wanted to do poet. Or someone did. Poet Technologies. They have not indexed this ticker yet. All right. Now we got to do it the hard way. Let's take a look. So it's too new. So let's see if we can find any information on this thing. Poet Technologies. So, they have nobody's covering this yet. So I don't have a lot of information on this stock. It looks right now, the price per sales is $852.63. Price per book is $871. What's the float on this thing? Key ratios. Okay, so 36 million shares outstanding, 36 million float. Okay, so Poet is an integrative solutions-based optical interposer, a novel platform for the seamless integration of electronics and photonic devices into a single module using advanced wafer-level manufacturing techniques and packaging methods. The company operates a single segment of design, manufacture semiconductor products for commercial applications, for data centers, telecommunications, LiDAR, board optics. So I'm guessing these guys are going to probably be finding their niche in stuff that has sort of photonic stuff, which is what, like cars, planes, all that stuff in the future when all that stuff becomes smart. Yeah, they just don't have a ton of... What's their chart look like? Alright, so I have 12. I'm gonna throw this out there. I think it's looking like it's crossing over here. It's hard to tell if this thing's ready to pop or if it's ready to tank more. It had a nice move on the RSI over the last 2 days, but it got pushed down pretty heavily. So these are not bullish wicks. These are bearish wicks. So I would be watching this one. I would not enter yet, just based off of the current trend, which is it's in a downtrend right now and it's not breaking out. And when it tried to break out, it got pushed down again. Now you can see it's been desperately trying to get out of this trend. So I think that's what you're going to have to see now is, does the MACD cross over and is it going to, push up and make a nice move? Or is this one of those things where, it's got a little bit more to go down, then they'll probably start consolidating down there. But I don't have enough information about who owns this and ownership. Can we see who owns this? Let's see if there's any institutions. Yeah, it doesn't have a lot of big institutions yet. Like it looks like J.P. Morgan entered a 16,000 share position, but like this stock's not really held by anyone. Maybe retail. I don't know. Like, yeah. I don't think I see any funds that own it yet, so maybe still early. So, anyway, that's what I see. They beta tested their tech. All right, what's your take on Marty Sorelli coming back in the picture? I think he's a smart guy. I think he's a dick from jacking up the prices. I know the insurance companies paid for it, but still, I think it's a bad look, personally. Like, I maybe I'm a softie, and I'm not like a shrewd business guy, but like to me, charging, a huge amount for life-saving medicine, even though the insurance companies were the ones that were being crooked. There's a lot of stuff to unpack there, but yeah, I think he's a smart guy. I think he's a super smart guy who understands how things work. So, did he write some DD? I don't know. Martin did a DD on, but he doesn't have a position. Let's see. So they ran up 45%. After hours dropped a slight bit, but the move came really today. It was sitting there in the threes, and then it's ran up to like 542. I just show you guys here. So patent victory. Yeah, so it moved on news of a patent victory. I don't know a ton about these guys. I didn't read his DD, but what I can tell you is smart guy. So I haven't watched him, but from what I understand, I've read his stuff back when it was Wall Street Bets and the real Wall Street Bets to me at least. And he was a smart guy then. He's probably just as smart now. I don't think he's lost anything. He probably gained it because he had extra time in prison. Some people worship him. Other people hate him. I'm kind of pragmatic about it. I think he's a smart guy. I mean, there's a lot of smart people out there that don't do good things. And, I think that's one of the things that it's an interesting thing is some of the smartest people in the world work for some of these hedge funds in Wall Street. And these are people that could be possibly, producing things that give back to society. And instead, they're sitting there, basically writing codes and algorithms to make rich people even richer. And it's like, I get it. You have to pay your bills and all that stuff. But like, But yeah. Anyway, I wish I could give you a little bit more insight on Poet, but at this point right now, I'm going to keep watching it. I'll add it to a watch list and just see what happens. But, it looks like it's in a downtrend still, and until they see some follow-through on these and it breaks out of that channel, I just keep watching it personally for me. You think Ater is a growth value stock of its own evolving class? I think at this point right now, Aterian's got something going for it that a lot of people don't realize, which is the longer it stays down here, the more that retail just buys and holds it. Even if they do some more dilution, long term, if they survive, the short thesis gets really screwed really fast because, all it takes is one profitable, and retail, so if retail's buying and owns most of the shares, and say, for example, okay, so say some of the longs who've been around for a while start to increase their positions again, but they're buying shares, right? So they buy a couple million shares. Well, retail doesn't have that kind of buying power, but over time, if they keep the prices down here at these levels and retail keeps buying and holding, retail will own pretty much the entire float. And then when these guys, big guys start, so one good quarter, one reason why these guys will be profitable in the future. And once once institutions start buying in, there's going to be no shares. So they're going to start having FTDs piling up, and that's when you will see parabolic moves, because all it's going to take is 1-2 good quarters, and this thing's going to fly. Because, that's what we've seen before. Every single time that gets volume, and volume comes from institutions buying typically. When we had these days when it was running up here, when you have a couple million shares traded, like the stock flies up on any sort of volume, and then it bleeds when it doesn't have volume. So yeah. Okay. Well, I hung out with you guys a little bit longer tonight than I normally do, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you enjoyed the stream, then please go ahead and like and subscribe, and you can join us. I think the Discord is in the comments or whatever the description, but we'll go ahead and I'll link it in here too, just in case it's not there. And yeah, you guys have a great evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow, and hopefully we'll see some positive things happen. I'm excited to see what happens on GameStop in the future. I do fear that at some point the shorts are going to coordinate together again and try to really smack the stock down, but it's just going to be a buying opportunity for anyone that doesn't already have the shares. So just throwing it out there. And yeah, if you guys can hit the like button and subscribe, that'd be great. Okay. Good night, guys.